Well, how many people watched this miserable program, Brian?
This week's AEW show, March 8th, was viewed by 858,000 viewers.
Now, that sounds but that's about 20,000 better than last week, isn't it?
That's right. I think last week was 833 or somewhere around there.
So what was the process of elimination? Who ran them off the quickest this week?
Well, let's go to these quarter-hour breakdowns. These were compiled by Brandon Thurston, WrestleNomics. 8 to 8:15, segment 1, Orange Cassidy versus Jay Lethal with picture-in-picture, 963,000 viewers.
So something's going on. They're not even starting over 1 million anymore. Are the big bangers letting us down, or have people kind of realized that it's going to go downhill quick these days and just skipping it entirely?
What is it, a month straight they started the show with Orange Cassidy?
Yeah. Well, I just answered my own question, didn't I? Okay, go ahead.
You've seen the same thing from him for a month straight. Segment 2, 8:15 to 8:30. The last 4 minutes of Orange Cassidy versus Jay Lethal. The post-match with Jeff Jarrett and the Best Friends. The Powerhouse Hobbs backstage promo, as well as Ricky Starks' live promo with Juice Robinson running in. 962,000 viewers.
So they lost 1,000. Son of a bitch. Maybe Tony's sent out people to fucking snatch the remote controls away from the people's hands. So the ones that started, they were invested in old fucking dipshit. And let's see if they stuck around from there.
Segment 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. Ruby Soho's live promo, as well as Ruby Soho versus Sky Blue with picture-in-picture. The post-match angle with Saraya, Tony Storm, Spray Paint, and Willow Nightingale, as well as Adam Page's backstage promo with Renee Moxley Good.
Good Lord, a lot of busy 15 minutes.
957,000 viewers.
Okay, and they're only down another 5,000. Where does the cliff come? Because this ain't adding up to be good for the last couple of segments.
Segment 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. MJF's backstage promo, FTR's live promo, Jade Cargill's backstage promo, and the beginning of AR Fox and Top Flight versus the Jericho Appreciation Society. 884,000 viewers.
Ooh, all right. That's 60. They lost 75,000 people or thereabouts going into the 9 o'clock hour.
Segment 5, 9 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. The continuation of AR Fox and Top Flight versus the Jericho Appreciation Society with picture-in-picture.
And remember, they went to break like 2 minutes after the top of the hour.
As well as the post-match angle with the Elite and the House of Black. 838,000 viewers.
Good. Okay, so they lost another 46,000 there. So between the 8:30 to 8:45 and 9 o'clock to 9:15 time slot, they've lost 120,000 people.
Segment 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. Tony Khan's backstage announcement, Bryan Danielson's promo, and the beginning of the Dark Order versus the Blackpool Combat Club. 778,000 viewers.
Jesus. All right. There, I can't do math this big. Wait a minute. 22. There is another 60,000 people they lost. So they are now down from the quarter 3 to quarter 6, 180,000 people. Go ahead.
Quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45. The Dark Order versus the Blackpool Combat Club continued with picture-in-picture, as well as the post-match angle with Adam Page, the Acclaimed and Jericho Appreciation Society backstage angle. 728,000 viewers.
Ouch. And I must have zipped through some of that too, but so did 50,000 other people. We are now, from the start of the program, down 235,000 people from the start of the program.
Hey, you bring up the Acclaimed. I had to mention this to you. I was watching CBS News the other day in the morning. They had a commercial for PC Richard. Do you know PC Richard? It's a electronics chain up here in the Northeast.
I think I've seen billboards when I've been up that way.
They have a commercial for it. Who's in the middle of the commercial as like one of the happy salespeople or happy PC Richards people? Anthony Bowens. He must have filmed this a while back, but all of a sudden I'm watching, like, is that Anthony Bowens? And then it came on again later. I was like, that is Anthony Bowens. And I looked it up. It was Anthony Bowens.
Did he really work there, or was he just in the commercial?
I think he was just an actor, and they needed people to be smiling, happy, nice PC Richards employees, and they found him, and then he won the tag team titles. So, well, let's get back to the ratings. The final quarter hour, 9:45 to 10 p.m. Wardlow versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Falls count anywhere for the TNT Championship. 756,000 viewers.
So they managed to get back 28,000 to see Hobbs and Wardlow, and they had to see what they saw. And it hurt both guys. It hurt both guys.
And the key demo, for the record, the key demo, I know some people hate hearing about it, but it's a reality. It's a real thing. They began at 385. They peaked early in the show at 436. By the end of it, it was at 315. That's below the usual trend line for where that is even.
Well, anyway, so they managed in an hour and 30 minutes, they ran off 235,000 people, and for the last 15 minutes managed to get 28,000 of them back. Glory, hallelujah.
Can a booker who's completely lost hear voices that are saying things to improve his product, or are they convinced that they've got it? From your experience, I mean, you were around. I mean, you've always pointed out the positives of Dusty's stuff, even when people point out negatives like 88. But when a booker doesn't have it.
Late 87 was worse than early 88. Late 87 and first 3 months of 88 were not good. But still, I've never been around. Number one, I've never been around a booker who had never booked before and had never been in the wrestling business. There never has been a booker who started booking when he had never, ever been in the wrestling business in any capacity before. And I've never been around a situation where anybody would have been able to do this for so long without somebody firing them. Because Crockett would have fired Dusty if it had got that bad. I know I've heard stories of when territories fell apart, Buck Robley was on the shit, or, things just weren't happening and it was a mess and the territory was soon to go out of business. I've never been involved in a situation like that where the booker just completely lost track of what the fuck, or they couldn't get any talent. But, there's never been a situation where any booker, writer, creative team, or whatever was not at risk of getting fired if they didn't do the right thing or decent business or kept doing stupid shit or whatever. And this is the case now because Tony's also the boss. Even Vince wasn't even Vince was never the booker. Pat Patterson was the booker, and Vince had creative teams. He was the final say, but he wasn't doing it all himself, and he could be reasoned with in some instances. This is a guy who, if he does listen to anybody, it's for the circle that he will listen to hear their self-indulgent ideas pitched that, which doesn't fit the rest of the program anyway, and is usually the shits too. The only one that's ever really come in and called his own shots for any length of time and had all been good was Punk. So this is a situation that's never happened before in wrestling at this scale. You've had indie promoters that would promote indie shows that insisted on doing their booking and wrestling and being their own champion and popping the corn and whatever the fuck, and it didn't make any difference because nobody knew they were there. But this is goddamn out in front of everybody. And it needs to be put in a plain brown wrapper. Anyway, Well, the big question, Brian, is what in the world is going on over at the Wrestling News and Arcadian Vanguard this fine week?
Another amazing action-packed week on the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network. Get information about all the shows on Twitter at Superpodcasts or on Facebook at facebook.com/Arcadian Vanguard. A few notes. This week's episode of Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon, the guest, former WWE artist or illustrator, artist and illustrator, Tom Fleming, the man who designed many of the costumes, many of the outfits, many of the images that you saw for the pay-per-views advertising them of the different wrestlers. Hear him today, suawpod.com, or look for Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Also this week, the Mid-Atlantic Championship Podcast returns as Mike Sempervive begins the road to Greensboro. Check that out today, midatlanticpod.com, or look for the Mid-Atlantic Championship Podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Of course, the Wrestling News, subscribe today at thewrestlingnews.com, or wherever you find your favorite podcast. Free daily wrestling news update. No opinion, no conjecture, just a straight wrestling news. Get it for free today. Once again, directly from thewrestlingnews.com, wherever you find your favorite podcasts, just like the 605 Super Podcast, The Mothership! I think that's like the Orange Cassidy of your sounds. You've done it too many times. We need some new stuff. Go through the archives today at 605pod.com. We need new stuff. New shows coming soon. 605pod.com. Available wherever you find your favorite podcasts. The Mothership.